Okay? Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Sewer Commissioners to order and start with a roll call.
Sandy Slavin. Donna Bronk.
Malcolm White, present.
Peter Dunlop.
Jim Gibberti. We have minutes of the March 7th meeting for approval.
They look okay to me. I make a motion to approve the meeting, of the
Second.
minutes of the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
5-0-0. Okay, we have one abatement
The Washburn Code line.
to revisit this one of 17 Washburn Court. And we have a recommendation from the director.
Is that total $207?
I'm sorry?
Is that abatement that you're looking to give, is it total $207? Because you're saying only 4 months?
So, what it is, yes, not 313, we're going to adjust it. This originally, when they applied for 313. We have to, what made it confusing for me is he installed that sewer over the summer. However, we can't stop billing till they get the certificate of occupancy, and that was December. So he owes for December, January, and then the 4 months before that, we're going to abate.
That was
So
my question.
the 313, we've got to take the number, we'll do the math, but the 313 is no longer applicable.
That's fine.
It's only going to be whatever, whatever that number is. I think, what does it say, 207? I'm not
Well,
so sure.
that's what I calculated.
Then
That's what
you're
I-
probably
I-
correct.
So I wanted to make a motion that we.
You're probably correct. It's 2
Okay.
months only is what he
It's
owes.
3 months or 4 months?
2. We're going to abate 4 months because he owes
Oh,
only
yeah,
2.
okay, 4 months, okay, so you're, okay, so, okay, then I think I did it for 4 months. So 213, okay. Well, I make a motion that we approve the abatement in the amount of 4 months for 17 Washburn Court, as recommended by the sewer, director of the sewer.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
5-0-0. Okay, citizens' participation, we don't have anyone chomping at the bit to talk to us. Sewer superintendent's report, please.
Oh, chopping at the bits? No, we don't have much. Had a teleconference yesterday with Woodland Cove. They're the 40B project, they're getting ready to go. What they need from us is we have to do an application for them to get into the street to change the size of the sewer pipe from 6 inches to 8 inches. What I said to them is that I'll need all plans, application, they'll do it all, nothing to our cost, all to their cost. Before I can even answer them or entertain it, they need to send me all the information, we'll review the information, and we'll go from there. We teleconference with our engineers and their engineers, and we won't make any commitments until we see exactly. The biggest hang-up or hurdle is going to be is that this is going to be done part of that project, the state project, because the state is going to authorize at that point in time. No idea when that's going to take place. So I just wanted the board to be aware that we did get a call from them. I got an email a few weeks ago about them wanting us to do some permits. I notified the town administrator, and so what we're doing is we're just collecting all the information. We'll continue to collect it, and then we'll decimate it or hand it out when we're ready. So that's where we are with that. The lining is going. The first day we lined, we steamed. We could not find laterals. We believed that the sump pump pushed it. So now we're using water. We're using hot water, and one of the concepts of water is that it's very difficult because we have a greater pressure. It's difficult for a sump pump to push. Today, there's 6 laterals today that we have to reinstate, so the water becomes critical. We'll probably use water throughout this entire Swiss Beach Road as we run into properties. When there's no property, no laterals, then we'll probably steam it. But anytime there's laterals, we're going to use water. This is a 350-foot run today. We're out there last night to 10. Tonight we'll be out there to 10:30. It's a little longer to cure and cool. We have to cool it down for a couple reasons. It's illegal to put hot water into the system, so we got to get it down to a decent temperature, cut the water and let it go. So we'll be out there late tonight. So we're moving forward on that. I think that was it, because I think, Mr. Chairman, you had something you want to discuss on the agenda for One Kinko. So I don't know what you're looking at, but as far as One Kinko goes, we're not doing anything with it. We inspected it. The elevation of One Kinko is 17 feet. The elevation of the 8-inch main pipes coming into One Kinko at 8 feet. So we're going to kind of leave that alone. We're going to continue to monitor it. We're going to clean it. We're going to flush it because, again, it slows down, so we'll flush those lines a lot more. At the end of One Kinko, we're getting ready to tie in 3 buildings, 3 new constructions at the very end. They're in the marshland. They'll be raised. So my concern with that is the I&I. I talked to the contractor today. I would like to see if I could get grinder pumps, because of these are 200-foot runs, and I'm a little nervous about plastic pipe with the joints, because they're going to be water's at 4 feet. We'll talk to the contractor. He'll have to talk to the builder, and we'll keep you, abreast of as we move forward on that. So,
But that's an item that you want to require anyhow, isn't it?
we've been all over the place with grinder pumps. I don't even know anymore. I recommend them. I think that they're a good thing. However, it's been a major controversy within this community. So to say I'm going to do that, I don't know. If the board feels that we should mandate grinder pumps, I have no problem with that. Whatever the board's pleasure is, I'll make sure it happens.
Well, I think,
We'd kind of like to know what your feelings are.
As far as grinder pumps go, I've made a presentation to this board many times. And so the board knows what I feel about grinder pumps. They're the only way to go on seaside communities, the only way to go. It gets rid of any potential of sump pumps, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
But as you know, as well as I know, that we've had a lot of controversy, and products have gotten shut down because of grinder pumps and the whole 9 yards. So whatever the board feels, whatever their pleasure is, I'll make sure it
well,
happens.
wasn't some of that problem as a result of having the pipes, the pumps, and the warranty was effective the day they were bought, not the day they were installed?
It's not the technology, it's the individual purchase of the community. We have products that had no warranty because of our purchase of contract. You have to be careful when you do contracts. There's a lot of fine print. And then we got the lowest bidder, because we always go for the lowest bidder, and they were scrapped. Matter of fact, the technology that we purchased, we couldn't get because we got a great, terrific deal on them. We're paying for it in the back end. So there is technology, grinder pumps out there that are terrific. We are trying one out at Oak Street. Another technology came in there, replaced that. The reports have been tremendous. So we'll continue to monitor that to get some idea of what that particular technology is, or the particular company. But there are many, many companies out there that are better than what we got, absolutely. And there are grinder pumps that have been operating for 20 years. I think Bourne's been doing grinder pumps, and I've talked to Bourne, and they've had tremendous success. So, everything has an issue, but overall, because they're E1s, they've had success. There's many, many communities in Massachusetts, throughout this country, as a matter of fact, that have great success with grinder pumps. So whatever you feel.
Well, you're throwing that all over the map there. Let's go back to the ones you're talking about specifically. At Swift Beach, on the new construction that's going in, you said?
New construction.
Okay. Is it realistic to assume that grinder pumps would be a major advantage in that particular instance because of where and what?
Anything, to answer your question, Mr. Chairman, anything on the seaside, many communities within Wareham, should be grinder pumps first, should be our first look at, because of the I&I problem, especially with sump pumps, and the depth of these systems with the water table being so high. I agree with you.
Is that
So that
something
is an
we can-
area that but again, I can't mandate it. It's technology because the contractor uses the best management practice in doing what he has to do. Gravity's available to him, he may want to go gravity. Grinder pumps is available, he may not want to go grinder. So for me to say, this is what you're going to do, I'm not going there. If
Can't
you
we
want
as a board
policy, then I
require
will.
it? Can we, as sewer commissioners, say there must be grinder pumps installed on Murphy Street? Murphy, right? Murphy.
It's off of Murphy. It's up there, so
Mr. Chairman, can we do that?
I think so, I don't see why we can't.
Well, I'd make a motion that we do.
I second.
so you have an,
When you say the contractor goes with whatever he wants, then you're talking new construction, new development.
new construction, let's say you had a failed
You're talking
system.
new development. We're talking about repairing the problem down at Swift's Beach.
We're talking, there's 3 new homes they're being built right
I'm
now.
not,
That's what we're talking about. I'm not talking about repairs at Swiss Beach. I'm talking about the new homes. The repair in Swiss Beach, we're not touching Juan Kinko. What I said is the end of Juan Kinko, we're putting 3 new homes. We're not going to do anything to Juan Kinko at this time because it makes no sense as far as economics and all other things we have to do that are higher priority. It's deep enough where it's not going to impact the neighborhood.
Yeah. So would it make sense to say if gravity is not viable or available and the project requires a pump, it'll be a grinder pump? As I'm looking at it from another viewpoint.
Okay, gravity is available because there's laterals available for them. There's already laterals for this project. They're there. So for me to say it's gravity's not available would be not true. So I'm not going to say that because that's not truth. So I suggested to the contractors working for the owner, is that I would prefer to see gravity because of the situation. He's going to bring it to the owner. That was a suggestion from me. I didn't say you have to. I didn't mandate it because it's not in our policy to mandate grinder pumps for specific applications. If the board wants to say that grinder pumps should be considered for specific applications, that's the board's purview.
I'm taking a different twist on it.
I understand what you're twisting, but
As an owner and a contractor, I don't want a pump if I can run at gravity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you were building something and you would look at the economics to you in the long-term future, so if the gravity is available for you individually, you'd say, absolutely, I'm going to gravity.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As the owner.
But as a community and going forward, don't we want to do what's best for everyone?
Well, again, if you're making policies that applies to everyone, absolutely. But if we start making policies that are limited to individual, I think we have to be broad and then bring it into individuals. That's a board's discretion.
These 3 lots are right up against the marsh, right up against the river.
Against, I would say they're in it.
They were very lucky to find enough upland to get permission from conservation to build. They can't be any closer to water than where they are. And based on that, we have a motion on the floor.
I'm just going to tell you,
Yep.
if gravity is available, I'm going to call you out on your policy.
You better believe it.
I'm just
Didn't
going
we
to
get
tell
called
you.
out?
And
We got sued
probably
over
the policy
grinders
isn't going to hold up.
at the condos? I don't know. I don't know.
If you're doing it for a specific project, you're asking for problems.
I would suggest you run it by council
I
before
would.
you make any decision. That's just my recommendation.
Not
The board
against
do what
it.
they want.
I'm just saying maybe we need some advice.
Oh, I agree with you there, but we do have a proposal on the floor here. You want to continue it or table it for the
Well,
moment?
You know what? I'm so tired of things getting done incorrectly, as we all are. I want to see things done correctly. And I think that our superintendent has the expertise to know what to recommend. And we've been talking grinder pumps and talking, meeting after meeting. So I'm already on board with the grinder pumps. However, I don't want to do anything that's illegal either.
Well, I think we're in a snafu situation right at the moment where we have discussed grinder pumps, particularly when we were talking about Bay Point. But now we're getting back into what Mac just said, that's a specific. Well, that wasn't brought up at that point in time, now it's being brought up because of your comment, Guy. We're gonna make this specific to these three, we can't
Can I
make it
ask
specific.
one more question?
Certainly, go ahead.
Would the gravity system, in some cases, put the sewer pipes below the water table?
In that area, most sewer pipes, I would say 90% of sewer pipes are below the water table because it's a 4-foot. The recommendation, if we're gonna go gravity, what I would require them is to stay shallow, because it's not gonna freeze, to stay shallow to the ground and bore into the manhole at 4 foot. The only way I would go gravity.
Could the water table be one of those mitigating
Could be.
circumstances?
Could be.
Where you have, it's a different situation.
I agree. Again, I'm not an attorney. I would suggest that we run it by our attorney. I have no problem. Whatever the board wants to do, I'll enforce. And I recommend grinder, and I recommend them all the time. And we approve grinders for Bay Point. We approved them. So I know it's a controversial subject, and I just want to be careful.
I don't know
That's
how
all.
much we can define it, Guy.
I don't know.
But
I
if
don't
you-
know either.
If you're in a coastal zone and you're installing piping below the water table, it's nothing but a problem?
Yes. We overflowed last year at the plant because of the inflow in I&I. We've done a study. They've recommended doing a mapping because we're on record of a sanitary sewer overflow at the plant.
Yep.
The potential of polluting so we like grinder pumps because it gets away from sump pumps. Although in this particular application, there's not going to be any sump pumps because it's elevated.
You understand?
But how,
Yes.
Where I'm going.
why
I
do
do
why do
understand
they
where
get
you're
away from sump pumps?
You have to further
Because a
define
sump
it.
pump, if you pump a sump pump into a grinder or to a low-pressure tank, it can't keep up because it's more powerful than the pump that you're putting out. So it'll overflow their system, so they wouldn't put them
So
in.
it overflows on the property.
Yes, their system, yes. So you would, if you're the owner, you'd make that decision, how many times you want to overflow your system.
Because this is an AE 14, they have to be built on, above ground.
Absolutely.
There's no
The stilts.
basement, no
None
nothing,
at
they're
all.
on stilts.
That's right,
It fails.
that's right.
So there's no reason for a grinder pump, because there's no basement to keep dry.
Well, the grinder pump for
I'm
me.
sorry, no issue for a sump pump, because
That's
there's
right.
nothing
Some pumps are
underground.
not the issue, but one of the reasons we always recommend some pumps, especially in these low areas, we recommended the grinder pumps. A, because they're tight, and we have an issue with I&I.
Yep,
So we
I mean,
try to
This is a
combat it.
recommendation.
Mac, wanna, hold it. Go ahead.
This is it, we have a motion on the floor
What's the motion?
to require, require 3 grinders at the Murphy buildings, the 3 new structures being built on Murphy Street. Donna made it, I second it, that grinder pumps be required for those 3 sites. That's the motion, right?
Well, yeah, but I don't want to make a motion that isn't going to be
Now,
legal.
So you're limiting grinder pumps to that location?
For this one site, because of where they are located in the wetlands.
But isn't that discriminating against folks? Shouldn't we?
No, I
make
don't
it
think so.
Like he said, like Max said even, a policy, anything that's below the water table, we make it, I mean, yeah, isn't that what you said? Below the water table, we make it mandatory for the grinding pumps.
Well, change the motion then.
I'm saying gravity's not an option if it puts the pipes in risk
Below
of
the water
I&I.
table.
And I withdraw my second.
So, again,
Okay.
we sewered that area. We put our pipes below the water table, we put their laterals below the water table.
But that's no reason to continue
I'm
doing
just-
it.
I understand.
I'm on your side on that.
I just want to make sure, because I believe he has the right to challenge it. Doesn't mean he's going to win the challenge, doesn't mean anything.
Right.
That's all. And that's why I suggested that we run it by council, just to make sure we're iron tight in our policy, because it's a isolated policy, as I see it, for one individual application. I don't know if that's, I don't know, and I'm not
Not if we word
willing
it the
to.
way, we make it mandatory
So you
for
make it a
anybody-
general policy.
General policy for anyone that's going under the water table.
That may be something, yeah, I would probably say that's probably.
Right.
more across the board. I just get nervous when we make policies for individuals or
What I'm saying is, the way the motion is presented, I'm not in favor of it, but I'm in favor of the concept, so we'll figure it out. Whatever you guys want to do.
Well, I think that I would like to make a motion that we,
Undo your first one.
okay, I'm going to undo my first motion, okay? I'm going to withdraw it. And the second motion would be that we make it mandatory for anyone that is below the water table to install the gravity pumps. Grinder pumps, I'm sorry, grinder pumps.
Or low-pressure systems, grinder,
Or low
low-pressure systems, however you want to.
Define below the water table.
That's
The sewer lines are below the water line? Okay, all right,
Correct.
just so
Correct.
we're on,
The sewer line.
all on the same page.
Yeah.
Require the use of grinder pumps if the sewer lines are below the water table.
That I can go along with. I'll second that.
It has to read something like gravity is not an option. If the
But
pipes are to be
we-
installed below the,
Are we on legal?
Not
We
allowed.
don't know that.
I don't know if,
We
I don't
don't
know
know.
if we're legal. I don't know that, and that's why I recommended
Yeah,
it.
I would rather table this, we're
And
getting
run
all
it
over the
by.
map now. Let's just table it, let me talk to legal, find out where we are and
I
and
agree.
put
Now,
the.
wait a minute, we're not all over the map.
Well,
I think, I think we can do this, and if we can't do it, they can tell us it can't be done, but we can make it a policy and then run it before legal and see if it is. I really think it's important. Because otherwise, it's gonna kick around for another year or two, if it gets resolved. Yes, sir,
Make your motion, just the way you said it,
I did,
subject to
Okay.
legal's approval.
okay. I make a
That'll
motion
cover us.
that we require,
Sorry, the previous one has to be undone. Sorry. So Peter,
withdraw the second one.
I'll withdraw my second.
okay, thank you.
Okay. I make a motion that we require grinder pumps
Correct.
for any individual looking to tie in that their sewer line is under the water table, pending legal confirmation.
Second.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Good. Did I do good?
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, okay. Play with that one. Okay, we've got,
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
all right, that was quick and easy. Okay, we have got, yeah, well, I'm just gonna blitz this one real quick here.
Mr. Chair, may I ask Mr. Campina a question about the Agawam Housing Authority?
Oh,
Go ahead,
look at that.
that's, yeah, go ahead.
There was a question at a selectmen's meeting that there was a sewer problem at the Agawam Housing Authority. You, Mr. Campina responded to me, there was a root issue and that was cleaned out. Is there anything else that's in questioning at the sewer capacity at Agawam Housing? I heard from somebody that you said there was an issue, you couldn't find the lines. I'm not sure what that meant or anything like that.
Original problems, we had an overflow. We could not find the manhole. We found one manhole. There was actually a second.
But that wasn't, okay, but the problem with the roots.
That's right. And
So the idea of finding or not finding the manhole is not the issue, it was the roots that backed
The
up.
roots were the issue.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're still playing with that sump pumps. Stone Path, has anything further resulted in Stone Path? You heard anything from them? Are they,
I have not.
okay? You're still dealing with the homes not connected to sewer.
Refining the list. We went over
Okay.
again what we're doing, what we're looking to do, so she's fine. It should be done soon.
So what do we do, sorry, what are we doing?
She's refining the list. We got a list, and now we're trying to make sure that they're, first of all, we're defining why they haven't tied. There's a few reasons, so we're isolating that.
Okay.
We're also making sure that there are people who aren't connected or aren't connected before we identify them, because some people have connected, so she's
Okay,
reviewing everything.
So of the 86 people, homes we know, you're saying, just confirming they're not connected,
Correct.
and identifying those that have responded to your earlier mail. Okay.
Yes.
But nothing else has been done other than cleaning up the list and giving us a status as to where they are.
That's correct.
Yeah, but what about the, weren't we going to inquire on putting liens on these properties?
Mr.
Giving
Chairman,
notice and putting liens
Mr.
on
Chairman's
the
going to take care of the legal end of that.
Mr. Chairman?
He wants a list of the people,
Okay.
so we're working
So
on that.
we're not sending out registered letters for the people who haven't responded either until we hear from council?
Right, because actually our question, which we had discussed at the previous meeting, was do we need to send out one to everybody or just to those that haven't responded to them?
And I thought we said to those that
Send it to
hadn't.
everybody.
No, some have already responded.
Yeah, some have
See,
already responded, so they've already
This
received
would
it.
be proof, by sending out registered letters, it would be proof that they received the original letter from Mr. Campina. Those that have responded to it, we have proof that they got it because they
Exactly.
responded. It's the ones that hadn't acknowledged it,
Right.
that we were going to send out registered letters. But that has not been done, correct?
That's,
And it's not.
Has not been
Has
done,
not
and I
been
know
done.
that we're looking at options for those that say they can't afford it.
Well, I don't want to go down
So
that one.
all
I'm
that
just-
stuff is going on right now
So-
as we speak.
You go ahead.
No, nothing's,
I just don't want this to continue to sit. I want something to get done. It's been a long time going. We need to do something. I'm so tired of us dragging our feet. I really, we need to get things like this accomplished, you know? And hey, look, I don't care, you know, I don't care what the reasons are. Okay, if you can't afford to do it now, that's fine. We're just gonna put a lien, and when it does sell, and when it eventually sells, we'll get our money. That's all I want. I wanna protect
right.
our investment here.
I have talked
The rest
to
of the
community
sewer place.
development about helping people who can't afford it. And there are a few people who have legal issues that we have to work out, such as the laterals on their neighbor's property.
Well,
So
if
it's a
there's
little more
legal issues,
complicated.
That's fine, but you're,
That's-
out of 80-something odd people, I want a guarantee that we're gonna get sewage when these homes are sold, or whenever.
Well, I'm hoping to find them help so they can hook up now. There are people who will and others who won't qualify for that,
but even of the 86, say 50% say, I can't afford it, why haven't we gone after the remaining 50%? I mean, do we need legal approval to send out a registered letter of the same letter Mr. Campina sent out a month and a half ago?
No, for that we don't.
We don't.
Can we make that happen?
Okay. I mean, I can.
You sent
do
the
that.
letters to all 86 people, right?
Yes.
Maybe 50% saying, I can't do it now, I can't afford it, but the others never responded. I would follow up with the registered letters to those that never responded.
Okay. I'll look into that. Well, we'll do it.
Are you concerned that maybe by relooking at the list, there may be people who connected that we didn't know they connected?
I'm not concerned about that, because I say they're connected. I will do that. I was waiting for legal. Again, it's an expenditure. I don't have a problem. I don't know anything about registered letters. I'll look into that, get the cost, do all that, and we'll just get it done. That's fine. If the board wants registered letters to 86.
For
we'll
those
send
that
them.
have not responded to your initial one. So resend the letter that you sent out, what, in January or
Well, that's what-
December?
We've sent a couple, but yes.
The latest one.
Maybe January, I'm not 100%
That's what legal
sure.
is gonna require to do a lien.
Yes, we must show that they
They
received
got-
the
right,
document.
So, okay.
Okay, no problem.
EDU rates, you said something about tie and bond.
I've sent out the information he was asking for, commercial buildings, residentials, and he's working on a tiering, and I'll present it and we can do what we want with it, but he's looking at a whole different approach, tiering it, and I think you guys mentioned that to him. last week, so.
All right, now we have a contract here for removal, disposal, and replacement of Nanumet Street Pump Station generator and transfer switch. That's that air-cooled one?
Well, this is the one we could do at Nanamet because of the elevation it meets, and the building was big enough, it's double doors, so we can sneak it in there, yes. That's, of the three, this is one we can do.
So that no shed is needed,
900.
no external
57,
installation?
Page 40.
The only downside, as we saw this in February, is that these generators, because of many reasons, but they're 8 to 10 weeks out, so we'll have to order it. Once we get the contract and get it to them, we'll order it, and then we'll wait 10 weeks, maybe longer to get them, then we'll probably encumber it and go into the next fiscal year, but yes.
All right,
How many bidders do we have on this?
this contract is in the amount of $57,900.
That includes the cost of the I thought the generators were $250 apiece.
That was a different one.
It's a different
This is a
one.
different one? Okay.
This was the cost of just the one that's going into the building.
This was
as is.
approved as a capital expenditure?
It was, we do 3 a year, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Does it seem reasonable, Guy?
Yes.
Was it the only bid?
No, we had many bidders.
Make a
They won the
motion,
bid,
we
yes.
accept it. As
Second.
written.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, now, let's go to fun. We have two individuals from Bourne, Selectmen. Jim Potter, Jared McDonald. If you guys want to come up and kick that right out.
Who was the second name, Sharon McDonald?
Jared.
Jim, sometime, do we have to reapprove the budget?
I'm going to
And
bring
ca-
that up after we.
Okay, and budget, okay. The budget and capital.
Sure. No problem.
Oh, I didn't see that pretty animal.
Good evening, folks. My name is Jared McDonald, and Jim Potter. Jim is the current chair of our sewer commission. I am the vice chair. We've had some discussion about approaching Wareham with some options. He's going to pass out a copy to you folks. We started looking into this based on our side of the water, so to speak, our side of the tracks. We were looking to expand a little bit with our sewer into Wareham. The problem being is that we were not quite aware of.
Do you have an extra copy? No, that's it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're not quite aware of where things sound like they stand for you folks. It sounds like last year you were pretty much maxed out at the plant, is that correct?
We have some capacity, but we're, yes,
You're fairly maxed out. We were hoping to ask for more gallonage from us to Wareham, as we are not using the full potential of what we currently provided by you folks in the agreement. The current agreement allows for up to 200,000 gallons per day from Bourne. Bourne currently is investing in a 100,000 gallon per day package wastewater plant in Buzzards Bay near the Armory by the new police station that's going in. This 100,000 gallons was something that we needed to further growth in the downtown area of Buzzards Bay, which we're currently getting a large amount of growth. So that is covered and that's maxed out at that point, but there is room in our plant at some point to upgrade and possibly have more flow available, but we have to monitor the system once it's installed and see how well it drains through the
Leaching beds.
leaching field. Thank you, missing that word. So we were kind of hoping that we could at least put it into your minds that we're interested to amend the current IMA, increasing another 100,000 gallons per day. We'd like to try and do that in a couple of steps. This would allow a lot more commercial development in the Buzzards Bay area for us.
Excuse me, I just want to be on the same page with you. In other words, you're proposing to increase from 200 to 300.
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
Well,
yes, Jim, but we were thinking of it as an amendment that
Okay.
sunsets. And just to kind of expand on Jared's point a little bit, right now, the 200,000 is design flow.
Right.
And so if you look at the design criteria, Bourne in the past had been near like maybe 180 or something like that. So all those properties that are still connected to the system historically, they're still there. Maybe they're not used. There's a design number that's associated with them. So we can't utilize empty buildings or anything. So we're almost playing with phantom numbers here. So the idea is we couldn't add 100,000 overnight, but there's almost 100,000 to still give within the 200,000 that we can't send and so on our end, we can't permit because we don't have allocation to permit. So it actually hurts both communities.
Okay, so
We're sort of strangled with it.
So that's basically, you're looking at pretty much the same situation we're looking at with the outflow pipe. We're limited by what we can do
Right.
because of the outflow, not because of what the plant can do.
correct, correct.
So you're kind of dealing with the same scenario.
You're right, it's the same design, it's the numbers. It's not actual, it's design.
It's who's on first.
Correct. And what we're looking at is, even though we're requesting an actual 100,000 gallons per day, the reality is of the usage.
Yeah, right.
We're looking to take that phantom number in order to provide allocation for our businesses to be built. If we can provide the allocation, then we can get factual numbers, and as the factual numbers come in, we can see the reality of the usage. And this allows us to expand our mostly commercial properties in Buzzards Bay, which then brings money into us. But
And to Wareham,
it gives you
because-
folks more money on hand.
because we're not sending the
Correct.
amount that we could be.
So you're gonna make more money into your system from
If
us,
we can handle it.
if
Right.
it can be handled.
Right.
But the reality is, as we all know, they're allocations. And the reality numbers are not the same as the allocated numbers. The actual usage doesn't typically fit. So what we're looking to do is give those numbers as they are, and then see what the factual numbers come in as.
Okay.
But in the future, we know that we have our 100,000 gallon per day plant coming on board, which does have capacity to expand if the leaching fields can handle it.
Okay, now the plant that you're putting in is designed to pick up what, where?
So
it
right
a
now, that's picking up above the 200,000 that we're allocated. So we're not using, as you can see, we're using like 94 to 100 to Wareham.
So it's-
But because the design has crippled the ability to allocate,
Right,
I just got on the board, and actually both of us, we just got elected in May. So the previous board to us had come up with a policy for allocation, and had, even previous to them, there was talk about building a treatment plant, so that's what they did. And they were able to get some grants that have just been realized to build it. So that allows up to 100,000 gallons of people that were in the pipeline to get permitted, but actually couldn't be given allocation in Bourne to build, to get a shovel in the ground. So now, those buildings, one's the hotel that's going in, and there's some other smaller properties that are going in. Essentially, the 100,000 package plant is going to be near capacity in the sense that the
allocation numbers.
For your new-
allocation
for your new-
numbers
for
are
your
gonna
new
go there,
business, and
but
this is all
also-
the new stuff, right?
Yes.
Yes,
This is all new business, and that's your allocation.
so there are additional people in the pipeline that don't have allocation, that would like to get in the ground, that
Okay,
can't right now. in Buzzards Bay.
That would be, again, we're talking new business on that
It
score?
would be new,
Okay,
yeah. And it's not homes, it's all
Right.
commercial
so you're looking at, you need another 100,000 allocation
allocation.
in order to be able to allow it.
That would be
What's the-
great if, that would be ideal.
Yeah, I mean, do you have any guesstimate as to what the actual would be out of the allocation that you're requesting?
Well, so for tonight, our biggest thing was to come to you.
Yeah, right.
And explain our interests as to where we're going. And then we can further the discussion and put some
Fine.
numbers together and
No,
let you
that's good.
folks know where we stand.
Yep.
Like I said, we were unaware, where you folks were as far as your capacity, maybe some infiltration issues and stuff. you
Yeah, I
were
don't know where we're
saying.
gonna get the, Mike, I don't know where we're gonna get the 100,000 gallons to give them. I don't know where we're gonna get it.
So,
That's all. So I think that's what we have to.
yeah, so with that, we thought it would still be a good idea to at least put it out there,
Mm-hmm.
explain to you folks what we're looking to do. And again, in the end, it does bring money in to not just us having, the commercial business coming in, but that flow also allows money to come into you folks. And it's something that I think that we're all gonna have to work on together. And that's one of the biggest things we're doing tonight is
Well-
giving you this idea that we have, but offering ourselves to come to you and work together rather than,
No, I appreciate that. One of the things that I'm looking at, now, throw the rocks at me when I screw up here. The potential, the allocation that you have from us right now is 200,000 gallons per day. Your usage, actuals, have been 105. Based on that, we've got 90,000 in there to play with.
from our side. That's how we're looking at it. It doesn't, you folks obviously have to look at it in your
Right.
terms as well.
So theoretically, if I'm playing this numbers game correctly, you're really only looking for, right now, basically another 10,000 to 20,000 gallons.
Give or take, yes. In actual usage numbers, right. But as we all know,
Understand.
there have to be
Right, I understand the allocation thing, but I'm just looking at, when we're talking about the actual,
the actual and the reality, right?
Right.
Absolutely, and that's, again, something that we're offering to come and work with you
Okay.
folks and.
So that's where I'm confused. I thought you had asked if it was gonna be 2 plus 1 is 3. And now what you're saying is that, no, it's gonna be within the same 3. There's not gonna be 3, there's gonna only be 2. So they haven't used 90,000, so they're gonna use that 90,000. They may go a little over, and we'll be able to maybe give them that little over, not another 100, addition to the 200.
Correct. In actual.
No, in actual, but in overall numbers, it really is 3, because to get the 90, you have to give 90 or 100, whatever it is, you have to give the 100. If we actually use the 100, we would be still within the 200 that's coming to the
Right,
plant.
because you have it left. The 90,000 gallons is allocated. We removed those gallons. I haven't given them away. They're your
Right,
gallons.
right,
So they're
right.
there to be used.
Right.
So at any time you choose to use them, go ahead and use them.
Well-
They're there.
We can't use them because there's existing properties that have that design criteria attached to them.
see, that's the same
Have you
situation we
gone to
have.
the
Can't do
DEP and see the rearrange that? I mean, this was all done many years ago in the
Right,
90s.
right.
So I would suggest to you to go to the DEP and say you want to reallocate those numbers to whatever you think is more like the business section. Take those at that Buttermilk Bay area, reallocate those gallons to the business section. That may get you the immediate use of those gallons for where you really need them. I mean, I would suggest that, and then we can work on that.
But
may be
again,
an idea.
we didn't want to go forward with anything until we at least spoke to you folks,
Absolutely.
throw our idea out there, and again, offer, let's work together and let's see what we can do. We're looking to not just bring business for our side, but we're looking to bring,
Yeah.
monies to you folks as well.
I mean, from my opinion on the thing to take on it, I think, that we should definitely be able to work together on this. I don't see anything wrong with the proposal that you're presenting, nor what you're trying to do, and I understand that, you know, we're playing with monopoly numbers in areas here. I mean, this guy just said, you've got this segment that you haven't used, it's available for you to use, you can use it at any time, but at the same time, the other side says you've got to have the allocation, and if you've assigned this over there, that means you theoretically don't have it available to you until you redesignate it somehow,
Correct.
which is the same situation we have in
Yes.
areas. We've got areas that are designated for certain amounts that aren't online, that we haven't used, but they've been designated, so they're kind of in reserve.
So
In
they're
the event
withholding a
of.
certain amount, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they came online, that,
And I think that is worth noting, that I don't think we could go to DEP, and if someone has an existing property that's connected to sewer, I don't think DEP is going to take away their allocation and let us use it someplace else. So we're up against that wall, and,
That's-
you know.
that's the
No,
thing.
If it's already connected, they won't
No,
remove it.
no, so, but we
But
have
it-
some,
Because I know there was 5 areas, and I haven't dug into the IMA quite some time, but there was 5 areas, and some areas that was designated.
Yes.
And when I had the original conversation, once they can't use them because they're delegated or
yes, we had
designated for around that Bay
two
area.
residential
I
That you
areas.
had to do first.
I have a question here.
okay, Donna?
Yeah.
So-
I personally would like to thank you guys for coming here. I think we all as communities know that we have to start working together because, to make it beneficial for all of us. But I look at this with, you know, with an open mind, and look forward to hearing further numbers and working with you in the future. That's, you know, that's,
And I think it's something that, you know,
Yeah.
maybe we can arrange, you know, let's get the IMA out, sit down with Guy or, you know, let's,
Everybody.
you know, we'll get together and we'll
exactly.
start to work on some of these things. But we wanted to at least come tonight, let you know that we're interested.
I
let
appreciate you
know
coming.
that, you know, we'd like to work on something in the future. And then, of course, which states later on, eventually there's talk now, there may be a regional system that comes together. And we've all been to the meetings, you know, it's coming along, but,
Exactly.
you know, maybe that changes some of this in the future, but for
Oh,
now,
yeah,
we're gonna have to.
Exactly, no, I understand, I mean,
I think it's good to hear. I think it's great news to hear that, you know, that we can start looking to partner with our other communities, and we've been hoping to do this all along.
Yes.
Guy's been talking about it,
Right, so
so.
with that, we'll leave you with, you know, what we've left here, and you folks have a great night, and we look forward to talking to you.
I want to
thank you.
thank you for coming.
Well, we don't mind
Appreciate it.
coming
Absolutely.
anytime, and, you know, I was here once, a long time ago, and.
Really?
And, yeah, I was.
No kidding.
And, so,
You didn't have
It-
gray in your
Yeah,
hair.
but you see,
say a
since-
lot.
I didn't
less
have any
gray.
gray then,
Yeah,
right?
because
And,
since you
and,
left, we changed the chairs.
and, you know, I can see both sides of it, and so
Yeah.
that's as good, but, you know, I know that working together is the, you know, the best opportunity for
Yeah.
both of us,
We've got to,
so.
because it's not just this, it's gonna be the carryover, where we can get that line through down to the canal, because then it becomes a whole different ball game on what potentially is available on the rest of it, but there's still work to be done on that end of it before that
So I
pays
think
any
just one
dividends.
last way to look at this too, it's like borrowing. We're sort of, and this is an outline, you know, you can
Yep.
certainly, this is before everyone tonight for the first time, so no one's been able to really digest it, but it's really a borrowing upfront of gallonage so that we can get people in the pipeline to actually get on the system and pay toward the system.
Yeah,
That's really what it is.
You know, and I just wanted to throw one last thing about, you know, we are communities that are next to each other and we work. You folks have a really good fluctuation of Bourne residents who are here using your amenities. Wareham Crossing, you know, Walmart, all of those things that we don't have. And the more people that we can bring into Bourne, we have some developments that are apartment complexes, and so that brings more people to our downtown, which brings more income into the town itself,
Right.
as a business thing.
well, you need it down there.
So it's good on on a lot of aspects
Oh,
for
yeah.
all of us. So,
I'm just thinking, your population will increase because of the weed Wareham. A short walk,
You
a
never know.
short trip.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking that just,
so, listen, folks, thank you very much for
Yeah.
having us.
So I don't know,
Thank
did
you.
you have any other questions or anything? I know there's other issues that are out there, but
I think
we can get to those too at some point.
we need to, but I think what I'd like to do is set up something that, where we
Yeah.
can do it.
Yeah, and
And
then,
work it out and then bring it to the board as a whole.
And this was part two that I know the IMA, I think it's passed. I think they're supposed to review it every 5 years. I think
Yep.
it's like year 7.
Yep,
So when we got on the board, they're like, oh, by the way, we're kind of overdue to talk about that, so.
oh, they left it for you.
So then I thought, well, I think with this proposal, instead of trying to put it in the IMA, and maybe it's not realistic there, but as an amendment, it sounded realistic, because it's something that you can always take off and
Right.
and sunset it. So it's just it was an idea, but I know we have to talk about the IMA as well.
We've been partners for many years, and we'll be partners for many years to come.
Absolutely.
We've been rivals for many years in football and all that, so the relationship between Bourne and Wareham's always been there.
it's a love-hate.
It's just been there forever. So I think that relationship should continue, and we'll continue it.
Hockey and
And just
football.
open new dialogues, where we're gonna go now. I
Yeah.
think it's the right
I don't
direction
know,
to head into.
And to the point, we're finding a lot of things that have been left for us. Nobody's really
Yeah.
done a lot of things with a lot of things in
Oh,
town.
really?
We're fine, yes.
We're probably doing a lot of the same
Same
things,
things,
and, we have a lot of policies and regulations that we have to do on our end too.
Yeah. So, thanks again, I really appreciate the.
thank you for
Thank you.
coming.
I will-
Thanks, Jerry.
All right, thank
Yep,
you.
thanks.
Appreciate the
Nice
call.
seeing you
Yeah, you
again.
too.
Jim?
Great to see you.
Okay, I've got one thing here for the, you wanna pass that down? Pass that down. Passes to you. Okay, Sandy's already got hers, so she doesn't need that. This is a one of those. Pass one of those. There we go. This is the harassment policy for the town, needs to be, I need to get that,
Did you sign yours?
yeah, I already got Sandy's, she's already turned hers in twice.
One of my 6.
Yeah,
So what do you want, that I got it,
yeah, you got it, yeah,
that I will discriminate?
yes, this is a how-to. Now, okay, the hell else did I have here, there was something else.
Today is,
Okay, and this. And we've got the, and then we also have this policy that was, I put together the information that Peter had, you've all got a copy in there. Is there any questions or comments?
You said that one copy?
No, you've got one in your folder.
Did I hand you one?
No, you didn't.
It's in your folder.
Keep it?
Oh, it's in my folder?
Yeah, it's in your folder.
Yeah, it should be.
Better be in your folder, because I brought them down specifically to put them in your folder.
Well, I'm going to tell you,
Not in my folder.
I think I've been discriminated against.
No, not in my
Probably,
folder.
here's, I got an extra one, pass it down to, but,
Oh, thank you. I don't know. I don't know what you're
she
gonna
read
do
the
to me.
discrimination policy and changed her mind.
Okay.
So this is the sewer connection fee and application that was sent out in email last week, correct?
Remember the copy I gave you last meeting?
Yep.
Of all the different policies?
Yep, yep.
1, 3, 7,
Yep,
whatever
yep.
they were. This is what they all say together.
Okay.
So the residential sewer connection fee for no additional fees, provided the betterment fees have been paid. What is the fee for the residential? Same as the commercial?
Where's the?
Where are you, what are you reading?
So on
there?
your policy, it says, where it's bold, $250 plus 10 cents per square foot of base billing effective April 1st, 2007, so that there. Underneath it says, for residential sewer connections, there are no additional fees, provided the betterment fees have been paid.
If you look a little further down in the document, it has a definition of betterment fee and development fee.
What I'm saying is that the sewer connection fee presently is $200 for residential, $250 plus the others for commercial. So this doesn't define any fee, so I might assume that the residential is going to be applied to $250 plus 10 cents per square foot.
No.
Okay. Okay. So I continue to charge residential as I am?
Yeah. You're
Okay.
you're doing exactly the
Wait a
same.
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Where's the original? We specified what residential is.
We did. The original here says, residential sewer connection permit fee is $200 plus trench permit fee. There are no additional fees. This has nothing in there, and this is what you're gonna adopt. Also,
let's
your
not-
letterhead for sewer commissioners has changed, and maybe you're changing it to the town hall. I'm not aware of that, but nonetheless, that's changed
Well,
too.
we know that it didn't come out of capital planning. The letterhead is incorrect.
Okay, so I'm just, because, okay, I missed this, I thought you were signing this policy, so it doesn't matter, okay. So I just think if we add that fee, the $200, just to be clear, That's all.
I tend to agree with you, yeah.
You need
I'm
another
sorry,
line.
where,
yes, I think just to be clear.
Yeah, I
Well,
agree
that-
with you.
what are we adding where?
So if you look at the original
Residential
policy,
sewer
20,
connections.
residential sewer connection fee is $200 plus a trench permit. The trench permit is mandatory, it's a state obligation, but the $200 fee to do a sewer connection fee. In the new policy, it does, so I think it's residential sewer connection fee are $200, $200,
Period.
period. And then, plus trench, the trench should
That's
be in
not,
there.
that's not a fee that we have.
The-
We
yeah,
have a $200 fee, period.
And we charge $75 for residential trench permits and $200 for commercial trench permits,
So it's residential's $200 we charge now.
for trench permits specific, because we got a connection fee, and trench permits, we have to charge them because that's a state law. So we get
Not
$200,
so fast. I
Yeah.
can't write that fast.
Yeah.
sorry,
Please.
So it's, the trench permits are $75 for residential,
Yeah, let me see that here.
and how much for commercial?
Okay.
Yeah, but see.
I didn't have this. I didn't have any of this. I didn't have any of that. I don't believe. How much are you? Oh, yes, I did. That's in there already. This is in here?
Okay, plus
This is
trench
in here.
permit,
$200
plus trench permit.
How much is a trench
Oh, you
permit
didn't put
fee?
fees in,
$200 for for commercial, $75 for
connection
residential.
fees.
Okay, so $75 for, okay,
200 plus 75.
Yes.
okay, I get it.
Okay. Design agreements.
The other one is 250 plus 200.
Plus 10 cents per square foot,
Plus-
The base building.
plus
Plus-
$200 for trench permit.
Where do you,
Oh.
where do you get the trenching?
Plus,
In the original, I just gave him a copy, it's the original. It was attached to this when I got this, so I thought you provided it.
plus what, how much?
So I gave him a copy.
Right there, right,
What's this?
there is
I'm sorry?
What's this? You say it's attached to
It was
this?
attached to this new
75 for
policy that was given to
residential.
me that we're discussing tonight.
and
It was attached to this
200
policy,
for
and that's the old one, so I just
trench
gave it to her to
permit.
put the numbers in.
plus 200 for
Because
the,
all you're missing is the fee, $200 for residential, and the trench permits,
Yeah,
because we charge trench permits.
No. Oh, we missed it, either one or the other. Because everything that's here is here.
do we want to put the dollar amount for the trench permit or leave it open if we want to change the trench permit
Well, if we
sometime in
change
the
it, we
future?
just change it, but right now, that's what it
But
is.
under commercial, you've listed the trench permit of 200,
It is.
but you didn't specifically say the 75 for residential. I was looking for consistency.
So the residential should say $75.
And, okay.
It's because that's what it is. We get $275 for residents, and then, okay, we'll add it to the old one, but yes, so I just think if we add that to this, we're good, because it specifies the actual fees that they're paying.
It'll be in your folder next meeting.
Before we, can I
And I
make
get
a
the-
couple other comments on it?
Excuse me, Before we go, I think we should discuss that email pertaining to the $3 million loan that we have. Either we're gonna do it or we're not gonna do it. I think we should just touch upon it and go from there and then move
Okay,
forward.
well, let me
Yeah, let's do
finish
this. No, I just want, so I thought you were gonna adjourn.
No,
I didn't want Donna to get in there
No, I'm
before,
not going
because she would adjourn, you know,
No,
that's all.
we haven't talked capital, we haven't talked budget,
Okay,
so.
good, it's okay.
If I'm looking at this as a standalone document, and I get something that's WPCF, I believe it should be at least once spelled out that it talks about it as the name of the WPCF. Does that make sense? If I'm reading a document and someone's using an acronym, the first time it's used, it should be identified with its first full
Water
name.
pollution control facility?
In parentheses,
No, I see what you're saying.
WPCF.
Well, we've done it before, but we should do it all documents, okay,
Yeah, WPCF.
all documents.
Then
okay.
it's, when I take a look at this, it says that when doing residential, provided the betterment fee has been paid, and the betterment is the most recent cost of, right, for doing a sewer line?
Here's what I'd suggest. I'm gonna
Yeah, but
suggest
the-
this, and I may be wrong. It may not be betterment, it may be sewer development, because betterment's automatically, on new developments, we automatic better. But on somebody tying in, we do
Right.
sewer development fees. So I'm not so sure where we're going. I just wanna be sure. That's, I wanna point that out. And then where you go with it, you go with it. But I just wanna be clear on
There's
that.
nothing that talks about using the most current betterment fee.
That's what
Yes,
the connection fee is.
I
right,
don't see the word, what is the connection fee?
What do
I
you-
don't see it list, I don't see the connection fee defined on here.
it says development fee
Yes.
is equal to the amount of the most recent sewer betterment assessed.
Absolutely.
Betterment fee assessed?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't have the word fee.
Well, betterment assessed, so, okay.
Okay, you rewrite it.
I'm not laughing, I'm laughing with you. I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing with you.
Should be
Because
laughing at
The
us.
whole reason that I started doing this.
Was to condense
is
it.
because you kept telling us different things that were policies that you knew about that aren't in the official policy booklet. And that's all I had to go by when I did this.
when I looked at the original
did a
policy,
great
I just
job.
grabbed this from it.
Yeah, but
It's in there.
fees that I don't know about because they're not in the policies.
Being the trench fee.
The trench fees.
Yeah.
This was adopted by Mr. Gibberti, Mr. White, Ms. Sweeney, Mr. Dunlop, and Mrs. Bronk, October 12th, 2017, and those fees are in there.
This is the original of what Jimmy is just showing us now.
so the fees are already there, and they're not put on that, that's all we're saying, add it to that. That's all we're saying. The fees we discussed already, they're already there. So we're just correcting that to reflect that. That's all we're doing.
That was the rewrite way back when Susan was
Yes,
here.
and so then you were gonna, and you did others, and so we went off, the fees were already there, we've identified the fees. So, and I think to Commissioner Slavin said the resident doesn't have the 75, we have to add that to be consistent with the 200. But they're in there.
Does a residential also have to pay this 10 cents per
No.
square foot?
No, they
Okay,
just pay
that's only for-
$200
So the
plus
commercial is
75.
250, 10 cents a square foot, plus 200 trench.
Yes,
The citizen, the individual, the residential is $200 connection permit, plus 75 trench.
that is correct.
What date was that?
That's correct.
What date?
And then you have it.
We accepted it?
And the betterment fee is defined by the paragraph underneath it, and the
12/17.
development fee. So a betterment fee, when betterment fees have not been paid, a development fee will be assessed.
Right, so, that's right, and it's very clear there. So everything is clear, it's just the numbers for, where I started this challenge was that the numbers for the
Okay,
residential.
so the only thing that needs to get changed on this now is, you want water pollution control facility spelled out in the
Yes, you
first line?
First line, yeah.
And the next thing would be under, for residential sewer connections, there are no additional fee.
No, there's a connection permit fee of $200.
Okay, for residential sewer connections, there is
Right, a $200 fee.
is a $200, what is that?
Trench
Connection?
fee.
Go back with this one.
Trench fee
I'm
is
just- I'm
separate.
just gonna- I don't want to go any further.
He's
Keep
trying
it
to read it,
simple.
and
I'm trying to-
Simple.
if he
It's
doesn't put in
done.
trench fee, then he doesn't solve the
A lot
problem.
more verbiage in there that I gotta take out. More verbiage I gotta take out that I don't have in here. No.
And to the
Okay,
commercial,
okay,
250, add $200
Is a
trench.
$200
Commercial,
fee
$200 trench for commercial.
plus a $75 trench permit.
That's
It's
for
for
residential.
residential,
That's all we're talking about is residential.
yes.
But we need to add the
But I get-
200 for the commercial.
Up above
So
it,
there's $3 amounts for the
Excuse me.
commercial.
We've got a $1,500 design review and construction fee.
that's a new, yes, absolutely.
Okay, then you've got permit fee of $250 plus 10 cents a square foot.
Yes. And $200 for trench added to that,
Trench permit.
yes.
Okay.
why is a trench permit $200 as opposed to $75?
For commercial and residential?
Trench.
Dig a hole.
Yeah, you are, but it's more, it takes more of our time to inspect the trench. They're longer, they're development projects, the trenches get forever, we gotta inspect them in sections, so it's more time for us.
Is there a limit on how long the trench can be?
No, there's no limit.
So it could be a quarter mile for residential, and it
Well-
would still be $75, and it could be 15 feet for commercial?
Yes, historically, we've never had a quarter mile for residential, because they're usually connected. I suppose you could have a quarter mile.
But it'll be $75. And
That's
a
right.
15-foot commercial one's $200.
That's correct. Commercial is always been more, will be more, and there's more time involved, more reviewing, more inspections, just more work. Just more work. We've got to monitor it.
This is a clarification from me. You can really take the betterment fee as a loan and pay it off your tax bill for 20 years, but you do not have that option for development fee.
That is correct.
Affirmative.
I just wanted to make sure I understood that that was the,
Yeah, we had that go around with the assessor's office.
We had that already.
Everybody been there, done that? Got the T-shirt?
That was a go-around. Yes, you're right.
Okay. That's under control for the moment. Now we have, just want to make sure, we've got the budget.
And thank you, by the way, for getting this done.
Oh, Peter did it. I just played
We're
scribe.
gaining, we're making
Uh, We got the sewer budget. Has everybody's seen it, haven't they? I'm gonna say yes, I don't know.
didn't we approve it?
Well, that's,
We
I-
approved a budget.
I haven't seen the new clean one, but we've made some corrections. Some corrections were made.
okay, do you have a copy of this? You seen that? Give that to someplace down there. That's all I've got. I think they've seen them anyhow. I mean, I think you've already seen it, but
this one here,
I just want to make sure.
The date. The final, March 12th was the final budget that was submitted.
I don't have a copy of that one. Do you have one?
I'm sure it's right here, I don't wanna take yours.
This is the one that you put,
You know how much-
Okay, great, thanks.
that's all right. Now, Alice, were there any changes to this one that you gave me?
This is an older one. Since this one, we've reduced transfers. Part of my salary's gone
they're not hearing you online.
Yeah, you have to use a microphone.
Since this budget, I've decreased transfers by removing some of my salary, which will be paid by the town. There was some increase in HR, some decrease in municipal maintenance, just nitnoids. It comes out to about 918 at this point, instead of 952 for transfers. I changed the outfall relocation. The Buzzards Bay Coalition requested that we start giving them matching funds for the outfall relocation project for the engineering earlier. So we've put that on the special to be approved. So that 150,000 on the capital page is reduced by 82,000. That was the 82,000 plus some money from the transfers was moved to the Narrows force main to start engineering on that. And I changed my manholes from 10 to 18 to 17. As many as they'll do for what I have in the budget, but
For 90,000, yeah.
for 90,000. So,
So from 55,000 to 90,000, you're saying?
yes.
That's the increase 45. So the budget we're looking at that was sent out March 12th. It has a revenue of 918,168. It has capital of 1,085,000. It has total expenses of 7,317,525. So that's the latest.
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion on this budget?
I make a motion, we accept the budget as presented to us on March 12th, 2019.
With the changes indicated by,
What, they're in here,
oh, they're in there, okay.
yes, correct, yes, they are.
Okay.
So,
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. 500.
Yep. Could, do we need a vote on moving the 82,000 from the budget to the special for the Buzzards Bay Coalition Engineering of the outfall pipe?
Probably we do, well, yeah, we should have a,
well, we just approved everything, I thought it included the capital plan.
he said he took that out of there, right?
They took it out of the budget and put it on the special
Yeah,
at their
so we need a-
request.
We just need a motion for it to go on the special, approve that.
So it would come out of FY '19 instead of FY '20 is the long and the short of it.
Make that motion to take the $82,000 in special spring town meeting for the outfall engineering project, outfall study.
You seconded that, Donna?
Second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is that an aye, Peter, or an A?
We're spending $82,000 to what?
That's going to Buzzards Bay Coalition. for
So
the
that's a
grant.
25% match
25% match.
for the Buzzards Bay Coalition to study the outfall pipe. And when they're done with this, they'll have a price for us and several options for neighboring towns to come in. So it's a study that is fairly comprehensive that would allow us to move forward if that's what we want to do.
Is it a $340,000 study? Like that?
Yeah, I can do the math.
That's all right, before it's a 32, 33, 33,000, 34,000. It's right around there.
I thought it was 400 and some thousand original, but I'm not sure.
Well, if this is a 25% match, it's,
I get 328.
Plus 80 is 400,000. I think the grant, I look at the grant.
Money well
Grant.
spent.
I think we need it. Yep.
This is, we're talking
And
about.
I may need a vote on my
Only 25.
roof.
It's only
Didn't move on, come in
25%.
A
on.
vote on my roof.
Who said that? I didn't
Oh,
hear
yeah, we've got the roof project,
I'll have to look at it.
guys. We've got the roof project for 215,000.
So we've put the roof out for bids again. We described this a couple weeks ago. It's 4 buildings, Septage A, Septage B, dewatering, and a garage. We expect something around 200 to 215 for that to come in. It fixes 4 leaky roofs and adds up-to-code lightning suppression or lightning rods to at least the dewatering building.
And we're looking at that special spring,
I put that one on the special
Yep.
also.
so you're asking for approval?
Please.
I make a motion, we allocate $215,000 from retained earnings, FY19 retained earnings, for the 4 roofs to be repaired at the facility.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 500. Okay.
Can't believe we spent $20,000 on water.
And Guy, you,
Every year.
we're talking about that $3 million.
Yes, we've got, I don't know if you've seen a copy of the letter, I sent it to Derek. We had talked about SRF funding, a loan
Email.
of applying for, and we were approved for $3 million to do the analysis. So let's go back. We all have the original summary of the study, and we talked about this July 19th of last year. And what it recommended is that we move forward to do the actual mapping of the system that was in the report. DEP says after you do your report, it's called the EESE, evaluation of the sewer system. Once you do that, then you move forward to map out the system. It was gonna cost about $3 million, so we got on the list of SR funding, we had talked about that. So we got the approval. The question is that now they're looking for a commitment to appropriate the funds. It's a 3-year program. What I'm not sure of, and I've asked the DEP, and we have a meeting coming up, is that you borrow the money at the end of the 3 years. I want to make sure I understand that correctly. But nonetheless, before they move forward, they want a commitment from the town. Because if we're not going to do it, then they'll take that $3 million and give it to another community. Not a big deal. And also, I want to remind the board, as we talked about, if we don't do anything, if we go to apply for SR funding in the future, for anything to do with our infrastructure, that's gravity, we won't get it unless we have this report completed, mapping. And so that's one of the reasons why we're moving forward. So whatever the board decides to do, if they want to move forward, don't move forward, it's your call, it's your choice, but we have to make some sort of commitment or we have to walk away. But we need to do something. And I think everybody got a copy of their report. We got them out July 19th. I think Donna got hers late. I think it was a couple of meetings ago, maybe a month ago she got hers. So she may be behind the 8 ball on this, but that's where we are.
Who was this report from now? I don't remember. I just
The report was written by Bader, given to the state of Massachusetts. Now, if we go back one, in 2014, they changed the rules and said that we are obligated, we had to, do an I&I study, which we completed, and that's what the summary is. And we spent $280,000. They were the lowest bidder for the $280,000 to get this report. And that report was mandated under 314-12-04. We moved forward on that. So this is just a progression of things. Once that was done, that report states that these are our issues. Now we have to map the entire system to be specific. It's a mapping that says, okay, this is our plan for how many years, what we're going to fix. Our solution was to just hire 2 people and go out there and do this on our own. We could do that, but we won't be entitled to SRF funding. If we find a problem that's going to cost millions, we'll have to find another way to fund it or get it out of the budget because we'll have no funding available through the SRF program. So it's just how we want to approach this. Do we want to think?
Okay, the SRF funding is just a low-interest loan.
Absolutely. It's a low interest loan from the
For-
abatement committee, so it's either 0 or 2%.
For how long?
There's many terms, and we'll find out the exact, people do them for 30 years, people do them 20 years, people do them for 10 years. There's all kinds of options, and I think that's part of the loan package.
And
This
if we,
particular loan is 20 years, 0%, no fee. There is an alternative way that the guy described to me to do the study ourselves using the state as engineering, but we have to look at that more to see if it's feasible or not. And
State
I
has to
don't think
approve it.
this will get a lot of attention from town hall until after town meeting, when they free up a little bit. But
So when did we first discuss this? You're saying July?
Yes, July 19th, I'll read it to you.
so this can be postponed.
Well, yeah,
Well,
We don't have to make the decision at this.
we have to
meeting.
make a decision by June 28th.
Okay, so we've got a week.
Yeah, we have to make a decision
at
June 28th.
this point, it would go on the fall town meeting. It's not going on this one.
Okay.
Unless
No,
Oh,
someone's doing a special.
again, they're looking for commitment, so the state's saying, okay, you committed to this or not. We're not borrowing the money this year, we're not borrowing the money next year. They just need to know if they're gonna give that $3 million to somebody else or give it to us. We gotta make a decision, and if we say we're not gonna borrow, we don't want to appropriate, then they'll just move that $3 million to somebody else, that's all. And for us to do it ourselves, it has to be an approved program that would have an engineer write, send it to the DEP, because they have to approve it. And this is an approved program based upon their own letters to tell us what we're going to do. And so
So the bottom line is, if we don't take it, you're saying that going forward, we wouldn't get any,
we get no repair SRF funding money. Now, we could reapply again, and to be very frank, and they could say, well, you didn't take it last year's. I can't speak for the DEP, but we'd have to start the process all over again, that's all.
And I think this is the funding we'd use for the outfall pipe, should that come about.
I'm sorry?
Same folks that do the outfall pipe.
What do you mean?
This is the funding source.
No, well, this is one of them. If we were going to do the outfall, yes, we could go to the abatement or the SRF funding and say we want to borrow money. Because and I think the force main would be a little different, but anything to do with gravity, they would not give us any funding. But I'm not so sure about the force main, because I talked to the DEP today. They said that if we didn't move forward with this, if we wanted to do a gravity line again, like we just spent $4 million, wanted to borrow the money, we would not be entitled to any SR funding, the 0% or the 2%. We have to go out in the market, whatever the market could bear. That's where you gotta go. And so that's the decision we have to make as a community. If we have to move forward, are we gonna borrow at a low rate, or are we gonna borrow it at the market price, which I don't know what that is. So it's just some decisions to make. I mean, you can do more research.
we've got some time to make.
June
that
28th.
decision.
You
Okay,
have to
fine.
announce by June 28th.
As an alternative, we could do the study in cash at this point. But you would have less money.
Yeah,
Well,
no, I'd rather not do that.
$3 million at 0% is $150,000 a year, which comes out to $1,571 per EDU.
Or we just take, that's right, because they come out of the budget. We've already going to take the $5 million out of the budget and pay it out of the budget. We'd pay it out of the budget out of our capital side. So there'd be no increase to the ratepayers.
Well, that gives us less money for our ongoing capital projects, but the difference is $1,571 per EDU, whether that's raised to keep things level, or we cut some of our capital stuff is a decision. So that's a policy decision.
Okay, so we've got options.
Just bring it to the board. That's
There are
just want to know,
options.
we're under the gun and we got time, but we got to make a decision.
Okay,
Okay.
I can't find it, my July.
Well, it's just right, want to see it?
I
Well,
will-
well, wait a minute.
I will look at home.
Yeah, but I want to be clear, what you'll see is discussed. It's not in
Oh, no,
depth.
no, I'm looking at my notes, which
Oh,
I
yeah, well,
I
that's-
carry everything that's
I
discussed,
can't
not
talk,
voted on, and
I
I
can't
just
talk
can't
about
see
your
it.
notes, I don't want to go there. I have the minutes from that date, it says that we discussed it, we talked, and matter of fact, we ended the whole conversation after we discussed it. We talked no more about I-9. Matter of fact, the fall would come off the agenda.
Did a
We're
lot
done.
of stuff from
We had a
talking to.
program moving forward, but it's no longer on the agenda. I wasn't at that time, I'll show you. Anyways, it is.
Either way, we have to put it through the normal process. Capital planning,
Yep.
get the town administrator on board, talk to the town treasurer, and make sure that it's not going to interfere with anything else, namely the school. And, a quarter point of interest on the school is a big deal. So there's some work to be done.
Yeah, if we're not gonna do it, we should make it this, only because we can give that money to another community instead of dragging it out past the process and then everybody loses. So
Okay, then why don't we,
Make a
why don't we
decision.
stick this on the agenda to discuss at the next meeting, give us a chance to look at,
Because we just make a decision.
See where we're at.
We're not gonna use it, somebody else should
Get
have
it
the
done.
right.
get it on again, off again. Okay,
Before we adjourn, I heard something, Guy, you said we were at capacity?
So, yes, we've allocated, we're not at capacity, but we've given out our allocation, so, yeah,
Committed. Will we have, space for the new project on Littleton Road?
on Littleton Road? I haven't heard about it. I've heard about a 10-family, a 5-family, a 2-family.
Oh, I think we've had the selectmen's, the redevelopment authority is looking at putting up a senior housing multi-story building there.
No
and I
one's
was
talked
just-
about capacity, so I
But
don't
we
know.
have no idea whether or not,
In the past, before they do these projects, they would call the sewer department and say, hey, what's our capacity status? That's all changed. We just
but
do
you're
things
saying
like-
we're pretty much allocated out
Absolutely.
and
So we have gallons that we're trying to recapture through lining pipe. This particular project we're on, we're estimated 180,000, but it takes me 2 to 3 years to verify it. I can't assume it, I gotta verify it. So we're in the process of doing that with some other projects. Until I see the couple of 3 years of actual numbers, I won't commit to a project of any great size.
because Woodland Cove is the latest project, substantial project that is being, and Stone Path is the other big one that's recently added to our flow. So if this building complex goes on Swift's Beach, maybe we say to them, okay, you got capacity if you stop all the sump pumps in Swift's Beach.
You know, and it's,
I'm just-
but you're right, the reality, if
There
we
has
got
to
rid of, you're right, if we got rid of just some pumps, that's 40% of our capacity of I&I that we're seeing at the plant that
Yeah, I'm
blows us
just
up.
saying, if you
No,
want
you're
this
right.
on
We're trying
Swiss
to get
Beach
that
Road,
stuff.
then you've got to help us stop the sump pumps.
It's a give and
But
take.
there's been nothing from the redevelopment authority reaching out to you about this multi-unit construction that's on Littleton.
Nothing. I know they're talking, I'm looking at the flow, they approved a marijuana facility at the Kendricks. I have no idea what those gallons are gonna be, because that's a multifaceted. And
Which
that's
one?
also gonna
The
be
one on-
grower. On avionics, that's gonna be a grower. There's a lot there, and I don't even know what those gallons are gonna be.
They
So we're
are
committed
a
already, whether we know it or not,
Retail,
but.
they
I know.
are a manufacturing and a grower.
A grower.
At Thatcher. It's on Thatcher, the
It
old
is.
avionics building.
It's on the
yes.
old avionics building. I have no idea. I looked into Taunton has a grower, and they get in quite a bit of flow. So I have no idea. So I don't know where it's. I
Sorry?
have no idea.
What?
so we should get this information.
I would
We
think,
should be.
before they even move forward, it's be part of planning and everything else. Just say, hey, guys, do we have capacity? And we move forward with these projects, and then we have to find the capacity. And if we say at the time we don't have capacity, then there's a pushback. I just think if they address the board, at the very least, said, hey, guys, we got this down the pipeline, what do you think? We can look at it and work as a unit, but it's just, okay, here's what we're doing, you gotta make it work. And if it's the other way around, this is, no, we're not gonna make it work, and, because we're doing this. So I just think we should be part of the loop, because I can't blow up that plant. We blew up big time last year, and I don't wanna go again, and we're to capacity, and we're still making plans.
Is it called True Root? Is that the name of the group?
Something like
I
that,
think
yes.
True Root,
The
yeah.
one down at
Thatcher.
Avionics. I have no idea what that flow is. I met with the folks, the T-Bear, they're doing theirs. They gave me their engineering report. We sat down with them, and their flow is gonna be minimal. It's gonna be equal to the flow that's coming out of that building now, because it's a totally closed loop. All their chocolate manufacturing is enclosed. They've got these little machines, so there's no impact to us. So that, we met, we discussed it, and they said, okay, they'll move forward. And that was a great process, because we're all on the same page. And so it's just that we get surprised after the fact, and we gotta make it work. But yeah, so T-Bur's all ready, and there's no flow at all. They actually a good project. And they told us that they wanna meet with us annually to make sure they review it with us, to make sure it stays.
Is that the one at Tremont?
No, that is the one, no, that's another. The one at T-Bear is the one under Pizza Boy.
Pizza Boy.
The one at Tremont Nail, I have no idea. I don't even have concept of gallons. That's a 500-gallon wet well, 2 bad pumps, and I have no concept what their flow is gonna be.
They had, when they were coming before town meeting, talked about it, there would be no impact into the sewer because everything would be kept within itself and disposed of without going into our water, the manufacturing site.
So we don't need the, we don't need
I-
the pump station there, because if they got no flow, there's no
Well,
pump
who
station.
knows what else is being developed for Tremont Neal?
good
Because a
point.
pump station, doesn't Mill Pond Diner want to attach to it?
No, they want their outfall to it, but not to the, not our pump station. We have a
But they-
2-inch
they-
line,
They're
absolutely.
trying to get a sewer line going across town property for Mill Pond Diner.
And have we committed anything to the Assad property? They were doing apartments, have we committed anything to that at all? I've heard nothing.
No idea.
I know they have a new business in there, so those are gallons we gotta account for, because that goes to their pump station.
Yeah, but they've always had a business there,
No, yeah, they did, which was a retail, which is very minimal impact.
and that's still a retail.
But, yes, and
Yeah.
that's actually they're actually not a retail, they paint and they strip furniture.
Sorry.
It's a whole different ballgame.
I don't feel like, I mean, it's great that you're on so many boards that you can tell us this information because.
But it shouldn't come
do.
from me.
No, well, it's gotta come from somebody, but the four of us are just sitting here.
I have no, yeah.
I don't know what the heck you're talking about, and I find it, I just find it a little bit, odd that,
That we're not in the loop.
Well,
Yeah.
I heard about the redevelopment one at a Board of Selectmen's meeting.
well,
That didn't come from any committee I'm on.
well, no, I'm just saying,
But
it's
it
helpful
should-
that you know this
It
stuff.
should have come from the redevelopment authority thinking, we're planning to to work on this project. Do we have capacity? That should have been asked.
Mr. Chairman, maybe,
I'm gonna go, I've made a note to go talk to Derek
I was
about
gonna
that.
say, you need to get something out to, that they can't come up with these projects without seeing
Well,
us
the
first.
easy way is to
They
just,
can.
Well,
just
yeah,
to
they
tell them we
can.
don't have the
Because
capacity.
someday they're gonna be told no,
They're gonna be told they can't tie it in.
and then they've wasted all that, so.
And then it's gonna be a
probably would be
pushback, and
smart
it'll be
to
very,
ask.
very hostile, wouldn't be a good
See what we
relationship at
got.
that point.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying the courtesy,
Yeah.
here's what we're
People
planning,
being
what you got, that's just a
confused.
courtesy.
Maybe
don't know.
people are giving out the wrong information on these boards, they're not giving out the whole picture. And I think that's gonna confuse the developers too. I mean, if you're gonna develop something, you should take into account what's available for water, what's available for sewer, what's available for everything, right?
Yeah,
Shouldn't
better,
you?
bet, at least like the water park down in Buzzards Bay.
That was a
Absolutely.
nightmare, huh? And I gotta tell you, I still don't know where that water was going, because it's not going to the canal. And
Oh,
I
I
was
know it wasn't.
told behind the scenes that it's coming to us.
I make a motion that,
Another story,
we adjourn.
story.
I didn't hear that.
Me neither. I'll leave that one
Do
alone.
I hear a
I
second?
hear a second.
Okay, all in favor? Yes, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
No, Sandy, I'm glad you hear this stuff.
Thank you for watching this
A negative
show.
comment again, it's thank God but we're all sitting here like, we don't,
It's getting better because